Alright, today we are going to learn how to make a dormer. So this one right here is just a reverse dormer. Um, Kind of a basic one, but this is really common on a lot of houses. You kind of just make a peak in the front, but it's just something that dresses up the house. You keep the sheathing on right here. All right, you can make one that has valley rafters, which would make it open, but this particular one would be above the sheathing right here. So that's how we're gonna do this particular one. So a couple things you need to know before you start doing this. You need to know the pitch of the roof that you're going into. So this pitch right here was an 8/12 pitch. And then you got to know what kind of pitch that you're aiming for your dormer. It does not have to be the same. I just chose for it to be the same on this one just because I don't have a lot of room to make like a higher pitch or anything like that. I could have done a lower pitch. That probably would have worked. But if I did a higher pitch, this ridge board would have been up here. But this does not have to be the same pitch as the house itself, but we just made it that way. It's an 8/12 pitch dormer. And another reason why I kind of wanted to do it that way is because a lot of intersecting gable roofs, all right, like here, we're creating a valley, have the same pitch. All right, so this gable roof intersecting here, all right, this could be like an addition going on. We could have like a whole nother house coming this way, and I can even pull one of the other houses over and kind of do it like that. Maybe that's not a bad idea. And you could just continue on like a whole nother section of the house going this way. All right. But for this encasing purposes, we just use the same pitch, 8/12, same as the roof. The other thing you got to figure out is how wide, all right, our dormer is going to be. So this one right here, all right, we have a 48-inch wide dormer. Now all we did is we centered the dormer onto the roof. So we centered the dormer on the roof, drew a line in the center here, all right, and then we just took 24, all right, on each side. So this is a 48-inch wide dormer. So you need to know that. What I'm first gonna demonstrate is how to cut these. So these are just our first rafters here. It's good to make these first, make sure they fit. It's a little bit different than just a common rafter. So the difference is right here. All right, you have to make this cut, all right, because there's no bird's mouth like a regular rafter, and you have to bevel it to fit the slope of the roof. So I'm going to show you over here how to make these two rafters. The first two. First thing you're going to want to lay out on your rafter is the pitch cut that's going to go at the peak of the roof. That's the easiest place to start off. So you just take your speed square, all right, and then you're just going to pitch it to your, this is an 8/12, all right, so I'm going to stop right there. So 8 is here, go a little bit more, all right, and then I'm going to mark this, all right, so 8/12 pitch, gonna mark it just like this. All right, so I know that it's 24 inches wide, so this is a lot similar to stepping off your rafters. So I'm just gonna do 8, all right, 12, gonna be the first one. All right, I just like to mark every time I step off. Sometimes I'm just used to teaching it. That's like the first step off. Totally unnecessary, but that just, if this was like really long, like that's the first step off. That's just something that I just teach my students. All right, so the second time, 8, 12. All right, make the second mark here. All right, so this will be the second one. All right, and so this is the difference right here. We do not have a bird's mouth. All right, the bird's mouth would go something like this. All right, and so all right, and then we would, go 3.5 down for our top plate. This is where the bird's mouth would be. All right, on a typical raft. But for this one, it's sitting on top of the plate. So we actually need the reverse angle of it. We need this one. All right, like the pitch of the bird's mouth. But we don't need it. This is sitting on a plate. We need it to sit completely on top. So an 8/12 pitch is 34 degrees. And then like a triangle, so these are right triangles. I'll try to draw this here. All right, and so this rafter, right, is half. All right, so if we can see here, so this is what we're talking about right here, and we do need to know this angle. So we know that this is a right triangle. This is going to be 90. All right, so 90, and then a whole triangle is 180 degrees. We know that's an 8/12 pitch. This is 34. All right, and so we have 90 and 34, which is equals 124. And so 180 minus 124 gets us 56. All right, that is our missing angle right here. And that's how we know at this point what degree this will be. So I'm just going to put it on 56. All right, it's kind of the reverse. And draw the line right here. That's kind of how I like to do it. So the cut would be right here. One other way you could do it is, how like you're making your like 8/12. All right, you can reverse it like this. Have your 12 side over here. Have your 8 over here. And instead of marking, because you usually mark where the 8 is, like your pitch number, you're actually going to mark your 12. All right, and you can see how it's the exact same. All right, so you have my line right there, and then it fits right in there perfectly. So that's just another way to do it. I kind of like this way because you don't get so confused with turning the framing square all the way around. I mean, either way kind of works. So, all right, that would be the first one. So you cut this off, all right, and that would sit like this, and then you have your plumb cut up on the top. Now, this is one of them, okay? So this particular one that would go on the left side, how I laid it out, just like this, this has a miter of 56, and then it also has to be beveled, all right, to fit the pitch of the roof. So it'd be beveled at 34 degrees, all right. So what this cut looks like is, if you can see the side view, all right, that's your beveled, all right, and then at the front, that's your 56 degree cut, and you can see how it rests there. There's no bird's mouth or anything like that. That's why it rests right on top, and then so that's why you get the reverse of the 8/12, and then there's your bevel. Now the other confusing part that can happen is, okay, so this is the left side, all right. So regular common rafters you can flip to either side, all right, it doesn't matter, but this has to be on the left side. This is cut, all right, only for that left side. It would look like that. If I want it for the other side, I would have to flip it over it'd mark it this way and do it like this, and then like this to cut it for the other side, because the other side bevel has to go the opposite way. Here it is. All right, so that's a little bit of the tricky part when you start cutting them. Once you get these two pieces cut and fitted, all right, this is a pretty good fit. Got a little off on the cut up at the top, which happens, but it's not too bad. Next is, then you nail it on, so I tacked it on here on either side, so it was freestanding. Next thing you gotta do is install your ridge. So, all right, how to cut and install your ridge. What you need is a level. All right, so you just take your level, you get it on the peak here. All right, so since I kind of know, here, I'll get an angle shot over here. There we go. Whoop. All right, since I kind of know already that with this intersecting roof, it has the same pitch, I know that this has to be even with this. All right, but if you had a different pitch roof that was going to land somewhere a little bit lower or something like that, you would definitely need to know how to do this. So you put your level on, all right, and then you mark, all right, on the top of your roof. So I know, like at this mark, all right, it was like about right there. Okay, that's where from the peak to the sheathing, that's where it's level. And so where it's level on the sheathing, on this point, I'm going to make a mark right at this spot right here, back here. All right, where the back of the level, this spot right here, is going to be. So you make that mark, and then you have to account for where the actual ridge is going to be, because the ridge itself cannot be sticking up here, because it would stick above the rafters themselves. So this has to be sunk a little bit lower. All right, I'll get the camera in here what I'm talking about. So I can't be up here where my level was, because it would block. All right, stick above. Whoop. So I needed to sink it. I need to sink it lower. All right, should hold it like this. I need to sink it lower like this. That's where the ridge is going to sit. All right, because we want the corners on each side to not stick above, all right, the rafter itself. All right. So what you have to do then is drop it, the amount from the peak to the top of the 2x4. And what that is, all right, so all you got to do is make a mark just like this where your 2x4 is going to go. But I would actually make this on the other side, but this is just showing you how to do it. You make a mark down, and then from that peak line, so it's about 1/2 inch. And so from this top line up here, so from this top line up here, you got to measure 1/2 inch down, and that's where your ridge should set. All right. And then the thing about the ridge is, so the slope of the roof is coming down like this at an 8/12 pitch. All right, which is 34 degrees. To make it right triangle, all these are just like triangles, right triangles, all right? to get this right triangle, all right, we have to do the opposite. So with the pitch right here, the slope of it, all right, because that's coming down, is 3490, all right, and we already did the math on this. That would make this 56, all right, to equal 180. So that's what this is. So this ridge right here coming in, all right, this is 56 degrees, all right, because it's extending beyond the slope. So the cut back here is at 56 degrees. And then once you get it, all right, you install it, nail it on the roof here, and making sure everything's nice and level. And then you have the basic frame of your dormer. All right, the last piece of this is to get our valley jacks installed. So first we just got to do our layout. This is a small model, so I'm just going to do 10 inches on center, or actually 8 inches on center. So it's just like any kind of layout. I'm going to pull from here, all right, the front of our rafter, there's 8 inches, and then I'm going to pull from the front of the rafter here, and I'm going to mark where it intersects with my chalk line of where this, all right, triangle is happening, all right. So there it is right here, all right, 8 inches, and I marked that right here. That's the center, and I did 3/4 down, 3/4 up, and that's how we get, all right, our 1.5 for our rafter here. No. So our valley jack, all right, rafter. So here, because this is our valley, so it's the same down here. So same everything, all right. So it's going to be 56 here, 34 bevel, 56 miter, 34 bevel, but the length is going to be different. And really the easiest way to do this, you could do a whole bunch of math on your framing square. You know, this one doesn't have it, but a lot of them have like the valley tables and stuff like that. But really I found like the easiest thing to do is just take your tape measure and measure up. All right, from this point, so I'm actually going to take where my point is going to be. All right, so my point is actually down here, all right, which is here. All right, I can't take it from the center because that's not really where my long point is. My long point is lower, it's than that. All right, so I'm going to take it from my long point, and I'm going to take it into up here. All right, and that is about 20.25. So now we're going to lay out this. So I'm just going to write that down. 20.25 is our length from our long point to the ridge. We're just going to lay out again. All right, my pitch is 8. All right, so mark my plumb cut first. All right, and then I'm going to step off. So 20 is one step off because one step off is 12. All right, so I know I got to step off one time fully. So 8, 12. So I like to do this. All right, so that's 12, and to get to 20, so it'd be 20 minus 12. So I gotta get to so 20 minus 12 is 8. All right, so what I can do is, just like an overhang, I can just slide this down. All right, I can go like this. All right, until I get to 8. All right, but it's actually 8.25 because it's 20.25, so I'm gonna mark 20. All right, 1/4 like that. All right. Then that's my, mark my pitch one more time following this line. So it's, I stepped up, so it should be, all right, from, so this should be, this is 12 right here, and then I did 8.25. because 12 plus 8 1/4 is 20 and quarter, which is from the long point. That's from this point, the long point, all right, to the long point of where my rafter sits on the ridge. Now this is the last part of it. I need a 56-inch cut right here, all right, from this point, because a 56-degree cut right here, because this is where it's sitting on the roof, all right. So it's this cut right here, a 56-degree miter, and a 34-degree bevel. All right, so I'm going to cut these right now. All right, my saw is already set for my bevel. So this is going to go on my left side, so that's why I'm going to cut from here, because my saw. All right, so I actually have to cut from this side, because the circular saw is only bevel one way, so I have to come from this side. So I'll actually cut it over here like this. So that's probably one of the most confusing parts, is knowing which side, like the left or right side, and which way it's going to bevel. You're going to make some mistakes, but it's, you kind of just got to cut it again. It is what it is. So I'm just going to clamp this down. My clamps are unfortunately over here. You definitely want to get a better saw to make these kind of compound miters like this. If you're using a not so, like a, I don't know, cheaper saw that doesn't, a cheaper battery saw that doesn't have a lot of power, it might not produce the type of cut that you want. All right, a DeWalt or a Milwaukee or like a Makita saw, cordless saw will do it just fine. But for just general, all right, like cheap cordless ones, they might not have the power to do such a cut. It might be, but this saw is probably gonna struggle a little bit too. It's a tough cut to make, all right, compound miters, especially one that's complicated like this. All right, and then I just gotta cut my unbevel the saw. I just gotta cut my miter at the top, that's just for my ridge. Okay, now we're gonna see if it fits. All right, so it was 20 1/4. So that's from this point here to this point here. So when you hook on, all right, 20 1/4, that's what we have. All right, from our long point here, all right, and from this point to the top, all right, 20 1/4. And that's all you have to do is measure 20, start here, that's where your plumb, and then that's where the other point is, make a mark there, and then you make your 56-degree miter mark. All right, and that's all you need to do. So let's see if this fits. Fits pretty well, if I do say so myself. All right, little adjustment here, might have been a hair long. All right, but just getting it nice and fitted. All right, looks pretty good. So I'm just going to take my framing nailer. Get it to where I need it. Nail it here first. Trying to line it up. It's hard to do it with the camera there, but line it up on that line pretty good. And line it up with the ridge. All right, let's get the measurement for the last valley jack rafter here. All right, so we got 2 of them. All right, so the measurement will be, I already laid it out. All right, so every 8, so we got, you can just check your, this is all solid right here, solid 8 inches on center. This one would be 16 coming down here. All right, so from this point to the point at the ridge, we're looking at about 11 3/4. So all I gotta do, let me get another 2x here. So we have the pitch at the top, 8/12 at, all right. Then we measure just from this point. I forgot it already. I should have wrote it down. I think it's 11 3/4. So 11 3/4 from that top there. All right, from here, got to do the 56. All right, so I have the plumb, all right, and the 56 here. So I can just make my plumb cut here. Got a bevel it to my saw to 34 degrees. And then follow this. So this is actually, I have to come from this side. So I'm going to clamp this down. Hopefully I got enough room. That's why these smaller saws are nice. You can get tight, small pieces cut. All right, then we're gonna go see how it fits. Whoop, I think I cut the wrong pitch on, I think I cut the wrong side on that. Whoops, it was supposed to be this side. All right, no matter. See, that's a perfect example. Like I cut the wrong side of what I needed. So all I gotta do is measure up from here, 11 1/4. Nothing's ever wasted. 11 3/4 from here. So you can always, so that's a perfect example. Like when you're cutting long rafters and stuff like that, you just take this other side and you flip it over. If you got long, like 16-foot stock, you can just take that. That'd be your right side, and you'll be good to go. So this would probably fit the right side. So, but I can still use this piece right here on an 8/12 pitch, 11 3/4. Looks good. Just want to double check that again. Good. All right, now let's check the fit. There we go. Look at that nice fit. All right there. That's right on the money. Right where I need it to be. All right, and then I'll just tack this on. All right, and that's how you get your valley jacks. All right, looking like that right there. And you just do the same thing on the other side, and that's how you can get your a nice dormer in the front here. All right.